because Adam was Eve's mama. And the voice of the Lord walked through the cool of the garden. And God said, Adam, where art thou? He didn't ask where Eve was because Adam was Eve's mama. Eve was born out of Adam. So when he had breathed the breath of life, he had breathed Eve into Adam. Male and female created he them and called his name Adam because Adam was Eve's mama.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything...
Shalom. I want to start off by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect who are continuing to fight and teach this thing of ours in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Monatazak with GMS Ancient of Days in Los Angeles, currently teaching with the small sanctuary in Inglewood. And today through the Spirit, I want to get into a lesson that's going to be a response of what T.D. Jakes just said during one of his recent sermons about Adam being the mother of Eve, okay? And yes, you heard it correctly. And through the Spirit, I played the clip of him actually saying it. As ridiculous and blasphemous as that sounds, he actually said it, and his congregation cheered and clapped as if what he said was actually sound doctrine. When nowhere in history, secular history, and even in the scriptures, do you find a man giving birth to anything, okay? Children come from the womb of the woman, okay? And as ridiculous as that sounds, me saying it out loud, okay? It's obvious that in this instance, common sense isn't common, okay? But it goes to show you how far these false prophets have actually fallen, okay? Through the Spirit, we're going to begin in the book of Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, in verse 9. Okay, and the headline reads, Warnings to the False Prophets. And we know that we are in a time of great judgment, okay, here in Babylon the Great. And pursuant to the scriptures, the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai said that he's going to begin at his sanctuary first, okay? So he's going to begin at those that are leading his people astray, whether you be in the Christian or the Catholic Church, or whether you be in the truth, okay? Because there are many of us who have crossed the line into their true identity, their heritage, okay? Knowing who they are. You so-called Negroes, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans, being waken up to the truth by the grace and mercy of Yahweh Shem Shai, but even still, you chose to sell out and sell your people out, even yourselves, okay? So with that being said, we're going to begin in the book of Jeremiah, 23rd chapter, verse 9. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and exhorting to the hopeful elect, because we're going to bring the truth of the matter to light, okay? Because it's getting to a point now where it's almost even hard to rebuke these leaders that are in the Christian church, because we know that even the milk of the scriptures can cut them. These esteemed pastors and theologians, okay? Even the milk of the scriptures will confound them. But this lesson is to the hopeful elect, and Lord willing, you get the true understanding, okay, of what T.D. Jakes was trying to bring to light. With that being said, Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, beginning at verse 9, warnings to the false prophets. It says, Mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine hath overcome, because of the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai, and because of the words of his holiness. For the land is full of adulterers, for because of swearing the land mourneth. The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their force is not right. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Now this is talking about the nation of Israel. It's a beautiful thing and a beautiful privilege to be woken up to this truth, to get this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and be given the opportunity to preach and to wake up the Lord's hopeful elect. Okay? But as the scriptures say, many are called and few are chosen, right? That few that are chosen are the elect, and the hopeful elect are going to take heed to sound doctrine. Okay? Not the words of these false prophets. Okay? Because the Lord took us out of these harlot houses, as it were, the Christian church, the Catholic church, okay, the Nation of Islam, these false religions and false dogmas that we have been spoon-fed all of our lives to believe in. We've been extorted into giving them money. We've been lied to about a place where you burn forever to keep us in fear and to keep that monetary train flowing. Okay? The Lord sees them and he's disgusted by it. Okay? Verse 12, it says, wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein. For I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So don't think that these prosperity pastors who live these luxury lives, these luxurious lives, as it were, in their mansions and in their private jets, in their stadium chapels, don't think that the Lord doesn't see them. The Lord is going to judge them accordingly. Okay? The year of their visitation is soon at hand. Okay? And if we know that we're at the end of all things, and we know that this judgment that's going to take place, okay, is going to be very great indeed for those that are false prophets, that is. Okay? Verse 13, it says, and I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied in Baal and caused my people Israel to err. Okay? And that's parabolic also to the times that we're in now. Okay? Worshiping other gods. Okay? It says, I have seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem an horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none doth return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom, and the inhabitants thereof as Gomorrah. Okay, and that's fitting. That's very fitting, because the majority of our people here in Babylon the Great that apply to the things that Jeremiah is prophesying, speaking about, okay, apply to the people here in Babylon the Great, which is a melting pot of wickedness and adultery. Okay? And just as Sodom and Gomorrah burned, so shall the people here in Babylon the Great burn. When that final judgment, okay, hits this place, which is the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles that the scriptures do speak about. They're going to hit Babylon the Great, which is America. And within it, okay, 2/3 of our people are going to feel that fire and feel the wrath of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Not just the false prophets that prophesied lies, but the people that held on to these lies and believed and trusted in them as well. That's why this truth is so precious. Okay, to be woken up to this truth, that shows that you have a chance to actually make it. Okay, but on the contrary, there's going to be those that wake up to this truth and decide not to follow the Lord, not to take heed to sound doctrine, not to listen to the true prophets that have been sent to warn you of the coming danger and the coming judgment. Okay, verse 15 says, therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shemashai of hosts concerning the prophets, behold, I will feed them with wormwood and make them drink the water of gall. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth and into all the land. Okay, it says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shemashai of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart and not out of the mouth of the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Okay, because the true prophets of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai are going to teach the scriptures correctly. They're going to give you the true breakdowns. And that's the purpose of this lesson. To erase that madness that T.D. Jakes was speaking and give you the true breakdown of what it means when Eve came from Adam's rib, as it were. You got to remember, too, that the Bible, the scriptures, are full of allegories and symbolism. And I'm going to give you the correct understanding. Now, when you go to the book of Genesis, okay, where T.D. Jakes was quoting, you have to understand that these are books that have very high levels of meat. And you're going to have that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the Holy Spirit working with you to understand a lot of the things that it's speaking about. And through the Spirit, Apostle Ramlov already did a BTTB, which is Back to the Basics lesson on his channel, which is GMS Info Channel 12, where he actually did a breakdown of Genesis chapter 1, Genesis chapter 2. Now, these breakdowns can be found all across YouTube while they're still up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the points and hit the points. But if you want the full breakdown with its true understanding, then go listen to those lessons that the apostle recently put up on his channel. Okay. Now I'm going to jump down to verse 21. Okay. It says, I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. Okay. So the Spirit's going to have to be working with you in order to shift you or to guide you onto who the true prophets of the Lord are. And we're in the time now where Yahweh Shem Shai is drawing a line in the sand and who he's really working with and who he's not dealing with. Okay, and T.D. Jakes is proof of that, because it's showing how they're waxing worse and worse, these false prophets, these pastors, these preachers. Yeah, okay, even those that call themselves Hebrew Israelites. Okay, the Lord is making it known who he's dealing with. And within time, you're going to see who those true men really are through the Spirit. All right. Now, with that being said, I want to get 1 Corinthians 14 and 33. So 1 Corinthians 14 and 33. Actually, I'll begin at 32. Okay, it says, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. And that's heavy. Okay, why? Because of reincarnation, where we come back in the flesh. Okay, meaning back, carnation being flesh. So if the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets, it stands to reason that the false prophets are going to come back in the last days in their lot. And the true prophets of Yahweh Shem Shai are going to come back in their lot. Okay? Verse 33, and here's the point. For the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. Okay, once again, showing you that this whole thing is based on the Israelites returning back to their power in repentance. Okay, because in order to be a saint, you have to be an Israelite, because the very definition of saint goes into those that have made a covenant by sacrifice with the living power Yahweh Shem Shai. And the only nation to do that were the Israelites. Okay. I'm going to read it again. It says, for the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. So the Lord is not the author of confusion. And to say that Adam was Eve's mother is a statement of pure confusion. Okay. And once again, it even sounds crazy saying that out loud. Okay, but here we are, right? Let's get the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, I believe it is. Actually, no. Verse 26. Actually, okay, look. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1, but I'm going to begin at verse 20, and then I'm going to jump to verse 26. Because contrary to popular belief, man and woman wasn't created on the 6th day. They were created on the 5th day. Okay? This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 20. It says, and the Elohim, you see that word God, people call it Elohim, but Elohim is simply plural. The correct word there is Elohim, which is the powers or the judges, or the gods. Okay? Once again, contrary to popular belief, the Most High Yahweh isn't even mentioned in Genesis, the 1st chapter. The first mention of the living powers in the 2nd chapter. This word God, the Elohim, is talking about Yahweh Shai and the angels, 144,000. Okay? No, once again, this is going into a lot of meat. So if you want the full breakdown, the full understanding, you can find that on the Apostles' channels. This video is simply here to dispute and to correct what T.D. Power Bottom Jakes recently said to his congregation. But this is Genesis 1, verse 20. It says, "And the Halahayim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life." Now, man is also considered a creature that has life. Okay, so man and woman were actually created on this day because they are part of moving creatures that have life. It says, "And fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament." So all living creatures, they came from the waters. Okay, verse 21, "And the Alahayim created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And the Alahayim saw that it was good." Okay, it says, and verse 22, "And the Alahayim blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the 5th day." So what I want you to take out of this is the 5th day, all living creatures were created, including man and woman. So it wasn't just Adam and Eve running around. The nations were actually created during this time, and it was during the 5th day. Okay, but the point I wanted out of here also was verse 22 when it said, "Be fruitful and multiply." So when you have man and woman and you tell them to be fruitful and multiply, what does that mean? That means they're getting together, okay, and they're bringing forth life, okay, through way of sex, okay, and that's the way it's always been. Remember, the Lord is not the author of confusion, okay? Now, when you jump down to verse 26, it reads, "And Alahayim said, Let us make man in our image." Now, people will think, okay, during day 6, this is when God created man and woman, but that's wrong. When it says make man in our image, that means let's give them the law, statutes, and commandments. So when I say them, I mean that particular chosen nation at that time, which would become known as the sons of God, and later throughout history, the Israelites, which when you go on the word Yasharallah means princes of the power. What is a prince of the power? The prince of the power is a son of God. So it's the same thing. But back all the way in the beginning, okay, there was a separation being made. The Alahayim were in perfect order. So they picked that chosen nation. It says, "And let us make man in our image." Let's give them the law, statutes, and commandments as we have. Okay. It says, "And let them have dominion over the fish in the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." Okay. It says, so the Alahayim created man in his own image, in the image of the in the image of the Alahayim created he him, male and female created he them. So the Alahayim gave the law, statutes, and commandments to a nation of male and females, which would later be known as the sons of God. Okay, but all the way in Genesis, okay, I believe it's 9. Let's see where it was set. They were given the name that the Adamites, I believe it was called, and T.D. Jakes mentioned that when you jump to Genesis, the 5th chapter, when it goes into the genealogy of the patriarchs. This is Genesis 5:1. It says, "This is the book of the generations of Adam, in the day that the Alahayim created man, in the likeness of the Alahayim made he him." Okay, going back to what we just read, it says, verse 2, "Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created." Why is that? Because Adam was the head of that tribe, okay, who through the Spirit, if you can receive it, was Yahawashi, okay, and they were called as a nation the Adamites. All right, that's what that means. It doesn't get any deeper than that. Even though there is a lot of meat in Genesis as a whole, this is what that's speaking about. All right, let's get 1 Corinthians 3:2 real quick, just to keep things in a sharp perspective. Okay. This is 1 Corinthians 3, and I'll read it at the top. It says, "And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Hamashiach. I have fed you with milk and not with meat. For hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet are ye able. For ye are yet carnal. For whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are ye not carnal and walk as men?" Okay, so this is Apostle Paul basically basically being symbolic when he's speaking about milk as you give unto babes. Okay, so that they could get that understanding, in the meat going into the deeper breakdowns, where you need to be more mature, where you can chew it and digest it. Well, the same thing with the scriptures. That's why the scriptures say, "Search not the things that are too hard for you." But that's why the Lord set up his men, okay, his prophets, to give you the true understanding of what the scriptures are speaking about. Okay, let's get Amos 3 and 7, one of my favorite scriptures, through the Spirit. This is Amos 3, verse 7, which reads, "Surely the Lord Yahweh Shemashai will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets." Okay, so the Most High, he's just sitting on his throne, ruling, giving out orders, passing judgment. Okay, which he gave to his only begotten son, Yahushai, who's sitting on the right hand of the Father. Okay, all things, that's why we give all glory and honor to Yahweh B'Shem Yashai, right? But the point I want is, the Lord he reveals his secrets to his servants, the prophets. So the prophets are going to be able to break these scriptures down and to teach you the correct way in understanding. All right, let's go back to Genesis. Okay, chapter 2. And we're going to get verse 21, because the headline reads, "The Most High creates woman as a helper for man." Okay. Now, you'll notice in verse 21, you'll see the word Lord in all caps. Okay, so that's talking about the Most High, Yahweh. Okay, it says, and the Lord Yahweh Shemashai caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. Okay, so this isn't going into him actually putting Adam in like a coma, and he actually literally took a rib from him. Okay, this is going into, he took someone from Adam's kin, from his lineage, his nation. Okay, remember, the nations were around back then. As we read in Genesis 5, the chosen line were known as the Adamites. So the Lord took a woman from that nation to give to Adam. Okay, so let's get Genesis 29, beginning at verse 12. All right, Genesis 29, verse 12. It says, and this is going by when the account when Jacob met Rachel by the well, but you'll see why we got this precept. It's this Genesis 29 and 12. It says, "And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month." So when you hear that term, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone of my bone, as it's said in the world, that doesn't necessarily mean that you came from that person's body. That just means that you are a relative or close kin. And this is the same thing with Adam and Eve. They were close kin, just the same thing as Laban and Jacob. They were kin. Flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. All right? Going back to Genesis chapter 2, verse 21, it says, "And the Lord Yahweh Shemashai caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof." Remember, we were talking about symbolism and parabolic talk, right? It says, "And the rib which the Lord Yahweh Shemashai had taken from the man, made he a woman and brought her unto the man." So man and woman were created at the same time. Once again, when we read in Genesis, this is just going into the Lord choosing someone from Adam's own nation, okay, who was of kin to him. And here's the point in verse 23. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man." So he used the same line that we just read in Genesis 29. And it means the same thing, okay? They were just simply kin to each other. Okay, Eve was not born from Adam. Okay, Adam was not Eve's mother. Okay, it's continuing on. Verse 24 says, "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed." So naked, that when you go into naked, that just means naive, and they were not ashamed. Okay, this is before the serpent's deception, where they were abiding in the law, okay, and keeping the law. They were naive to what evil was, and they were simply doing as they were told and being obedient. All right. Now, when you jump to Genesis, the 3rd chapter, okay, let's see, in verse 8, because the 3rd chapter goes into the serpent's deception and man's shameful downfall, okay, where the serpent is represented as Esau. This wasn't the actual snake in the grass, okay? He is that old serpent, okay? This is talking about Esau Edom with his deception. But this is Genesis chapter 3, verse 8. It says, "And they heard the voice of the Lord," it said, "they heard of the voice of the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, walking in the garden in the cool of the day." Okay, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai amongst the trees of the garden. Okay, now the voice of the Lord. Who's the voice of the Lord? Right? Remember, we just read Amos 3:3. "Surely the Most High will do nothing, but he revealed his secrets to his servants, the prophets." Even all the way back in the garden, the prophets were around. Okay, let's get Ezekiel 3:17. Quick precept. Book of Ezekiel, chapter 3, verse 17. It says, "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me." Okay? Hear the word at my mouth. Who are the mouthpiece of Yahweh Shemashai? The prophets. So the voice of Yahweh Shemashai that Adam and Eve heard were the prophets rebuking them for listening to the serpent and breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? It says, "And they heard the voice of the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, walking in the garden, the prophets, in the cool of the day." The cool of the day representing before the judgment came down. Okay? It says, "And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, amongst the trees of the garden." So they knew that they had sinned and went off, so they tried to hide themselves. But they didn't really hide themselves in literal trees. The trees in the garden are the other nations that were around. They tried to blend in with them to hide from their judgment. Okay? That's what that's speaking about. All right. Now, let's get 1 Corinthians, and we can close it with this, because I believe the point has been made through the Spirit. The Lord willing has been edifying. I know it's a lot of meat. Okay, but once again, these lessons can be found on YouTube. Just type in GMS, Genesis chapter 1, or GMS, Genesis chapter 2, so on and so forth. Or as I mentioned before, Apostle Ramla, through the Spirit, has done lessons recently, okay, on Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2, okay? But this is 1 Corinthians 11:3, just to show you the divine order and how things have never changed. 1 Corinthians 11, chapter 3, it says, "But I will have you know that the head of every man is a Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of a Mashiach is the Most High." Okay, so that's going to show you that everybody is in their lot, and they serve their purpose, with the Heavenly Father Yahweh being at top, His only begotten Son Yahushua being next. Then you have the man and the woman. The purpose of the woman was to bring forth children, the seed of the man. That's not the man's role. That's not his lot. And it never has been. Okay, and once again, as crazy as it sounds to even be breaking that down, here we are. And Lord willing, the precepts I brought out help prove and substantiate that T.D. Jakes doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. I want to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect who are continuing to fight and teach this thing of ours in truth and sincerity. This has been your brother Manat Dazak, and until the next lesson, Shalom.